operate in India. There are very famous names like Alstom. There are companies like Thales. There are companies like L'Oreal. There are companies like Sodexo. Sanofi, Danone. They're pretty well-known names. So it is not just Dassault which has been doing a lot of good work in terms of boosting India's defense arsenal. But over a large spectrum, you would see a lot of collaborations happening. First and foremost, in terms of developing a resilient supply chain. I'm sure, much like in many other European countries, there is a considerable amount of dependence, potentially for France also, which is there on Chinese supply chain. So in terms of developing a supply chain which is decoupled from China, I think India is a great one. And they would certainly be investing in areas, for example, the huge metro network that India is working upon in city
Sir,
after city.
I'll interject you for just one moment. The visuals on your screens right now, let us describe that for our viewers. This is the presidential palace, which is the official residence of French president. There you see the Macrons receiving Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and pretty hands-on welcome there, which has now become a signature of Indian Prime Minister. Yes, sir, you can continue making your point.
Yeah, so if you look at, in areas, for example, of Indian railways or the metro networks that are coming across the country, Alstom plays a very critical role in that. Similarly, in areas of, pharmaceutical industry, India has shown its industrial scale proficiency to develop medicines and vaccines. It is one of the largest producer of pharmaceutical, equipment or, materials in the world today. So in that way, companies like Sanofi plays a very critical role. As India become a bigger economy and as India become a potential $5 trillion economy in the next, say, 3-4 years. So in that kind of a scenario for a country like France, the opportunities are immense. Let me give you a small example. In the last, say, 2-3 months alone, the total number of, order for planes, civilian commercial aircrafts, that has been given by 2 Indian companies, Indigo and Air India, Tata Air India, is 750, 500 by Indigo, 250 by Air India to Airbus alone. I'm not even counting the ones that has been given to Boeing. So imagine the enormous number of jobs that are getting created in France and a few other countries of Europe because of these huge potential contracts that are coming from India. Eventually, maybe tomorrow you might see these planes would be made in India also, given the cost advantages that India has. In terms of green hydrogen mission, renewable energy is one area where you'd see there is a huge scope for collaborations. Green hydrogen is one area where India is working. I think there's major scope for French energy companies to invest in that. Aerospace is a great thing. Tomorrow itself, ma'am, we all know the Chandrayaan is being launched. The manner in which ISRO has evolved as a major player contender in the world in terms of, sending up satellites with both, polar satellites or the geosynchronous satellites. I mean, it's a force to reckon with. There are potential areas of collaboration there or futuristic technology, whether you talk about quantum computing. Semiconductor is one area where the French would be very much interested. So much like we saw the landscape during the visit of Prime Minister in the United States, where a lot of areas which have been discussed in critical emerging technologies, the same would be replicated here. But one last thing I would want to mention in terms of defense collaboration, I think France, in terms of critical technology sharing, still has an edge over United States in terms of what it has shared with India till date. And I think the trust is very profound. It will only deepen in times to come.
From future collaborations, Mr. Tanna, if I could speak about past collaboration, do we see a forward movement in Jetapur nuclear